Hello, good morning students. Today we can see about conduction block, the last category of arrhythmia. Among the conduction block, there are two categories, that is AV block, atrioventricular block, and other one is bundle branch block. We already studied about one conduction block, that's conduction block in the SA node that we studied. Now the remaining two main conduction blocks, one is atrioventricular block and the other one is bundle branch block. So first we can see about the atrioventricular block. Atrioventricular block, the definition itself is a term used to describe the arrhythmias in which there is delay or failed conduction of supraventricular impulses into the ventricles. That means from the supraventricular area, impulses are not transmitting to ventricles, that is of atrioventricular block. When assessing the rhythm strip, we can see the underlying rhythm. It can be a sinus rhythm or it can be a sinus arrhythmia. Also we can see the PR interval once you are assessing. I think we can understand whether AV block is there or what, whether it is prolonged or not, like that we have to assess. Usually the AV block occurs when the conduction of the impulses through the AV nodal area is decreased or once it is stopped. Now we can see about the causes of AV block. The main causes include autonomy, that's the main cause. That means carotid and artery sensitivity. Then there are metabolic causes are there, endocrine causes are there, hyperkalemia, hypothyroidism, hypermagnesemia, adrenal insufficiency. These all are some metabolic and endocrine causes. Hyperkalemia, not hyperkalemia, hypothyroidism, hypermagnesemia, adrenal insufficiency. Then infectious diseases like cardiac diseases, endocarditis, then other diseases like tuberculosis, Lyme disease, diphtheria, Chagas disease, toxoplasmosis, syphilis. These all are some conditions that may lead to AV block. Then congenital heritable diseases or hereditary disorders, including heart diseases, congenital heart diseases are there. Again, maternal history of SLE, then myotonic dystrophy, then progressive familial heart block. These all are some congenital or hereditary conditions that can lead to AV block. Then think about the inflammatory conditions that include SLE is there, rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma. These are some inflammatory conditions that lead to AV block. Now infiltrative conditions like amyloidosis, hemochromatosis, sarcoidosis, that also can lead to this AV block. Again, neoplastic conditions, lymphomas, mesothelioma, then melanoma, there is chances. Again, that is associated with the radiation also. Then traumatic conditions like catheter ablations. We are using catheter procedures. That time there is chance for catheter ablation, there is chance for injuries, and that can cause atrioventricular block. Ischemia will occur due to injury. That ischemia may lead to atrioventricular block. Now degenerative diseases like Wienergeri disease. Now coronary artery diseases, that means acute MI, myocardial ischemia, any type of myocardial ischemia and infraction. Then valvular disorders, myocarditis. These all are some other causes. Some medications also can cause this AV block, can lead to AV block, that is digitalis. Again, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, antiarrhythmic class 1 and 3, lithium. Then some vasovagal reflexes. Increased due to the increased vagal tone. That means during suctioning or when supplying pressure above the eyes or pressure over the large vessels or during air stimulation, there is chance for decreased conduction. Now, again, as you all know, the AV block again is classified as first degree AV block, second degree AV block type 1, second degree AV block type 2, and third degree AV block. So you can go to first degree AV block. See one diagram of first degree AV block. Rhythm, that is regular. They rate that of underlying rhythm. Based on that rhythm, the rate is like that. In that is every PR it is marked and kept. You see in that diagram. PR, T waves you can see. PR is measured and kept. Then PR interval, that is greater than 0.2 seconds. QRS usually that is normal. Also one ECG strip, another ECG strip you observe, just observe. You can observe the P wave, first degree AV block, the P wave you can observe. See the elevation of that P wave, just a P wave, just before the QRS. Then the appearance of the T wave, then the next P wave. So we can see the characteristics. The ventricular and atrial rate that depends on the underlying rhythm. The ventricular and atrial rhythm that depends on the underlying cause. The QRS shape and duration usually normal but may be abnormal. See, P wave in front of the QRS complex shows sinus rhythm, regular shape. Then PR interval greater than 0.2 seconds. That PR interval measurement is constant from both the ECG. It's clear that PR interval measurement is constant. The P is to QRS ratio you see, that's of 1:1. So it's clear that heart rate is normal and rhythm is regular. So it's clear that in this block there is 1:1 relationship exists between P waves and QRS complexes. But PR interval is longer. That means AV block represents a delay or slowing of conduction. Usually, occasionally, the first degree AV block may associated with the other conditions. Other conduction are disturbances including the bundle branch block or vesicular block. Anyway, AV block in first degree AV block, every impulse that is conducted to the ventricles, but the duration of AV conduction is prolonged. After the impulse moves through the AV node, it is usually conducted normally through the ventricles. Now you can just see the causes. In general, we have seen the causes of AV arrhythmias, atrioventricular blocks. But first degree AV block, the causes we can see. Sometimes among normal athletic individuals, we can observe this type of arrhythmia. Some younger adults or during excessive vagal tone, there is chances of occurrence of this type of arrhythmia and is considered as normal. Then specifically acute inferior or inferior wall MI, this ischemia can occur. This arrhythmia can occur. Then along with any type of ischemic heart diseases, we can observe this arrhythmia. Digitalis toxicity is another reason. Excessive inhibitory vagal tone is another reason. drugs like calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, electrolyte imbalance, hyperkalemia and myocarditis. These all are some other reasons for this first degree AV block. See about the clinical significance of first degree AV block. It's not usually a serious condition. It's an indication of higher degree of AV block. There is, once first degree AV block is there is a mere chance for the higher degrees. So patients with first degree block are usually asymptomatic. Once you are observing there in the ECG, if you are seeing that the person is having first degree AV block, there is chances of developing second degree or third degree AV block. Now about the treatment aspects of first degree AV block. Treatment include there is no specific treatment for first degree AV block. The modification of the causative factor is needed. That is considered, and for that, if medication is needed, we can provide medication for the patient. Also, the patient should monitor continuously for the occurrence of cardiac arrhythmias. This is all about the first degree AV block. Now we can see about the second degree AV block, Mobitz type 1, type 1, second degree AV block, that is called a Wenckebach block. So see the diagram, second degree AV block, Mobitz type 1. You see the blocks or that cardiac symbols. The P waves that look similar, successively longer PR intervals until one QRS fails. See longer PR interval until one QRS fails. See the PR interval rate also. Rhythm, ventricular rhythm that is often irregular, atrial rhythm that is regular or equal to almost regular. QRS is normal. Anyway, from it's clear that the first degree, type 1 second degree AV block, that's of Mobitz type 1, the Wenckebach heart block. The special characteristics of this block is that gradual lengthening of the PR interval. It occurs because there is a prolonged AV conduction time. And the atrial impulses are not conducted, take much time. So there is once it is not conducted means you can see there is a missing QRS. See the ECG strip of this Mobitz type 1. The ventricular and atrial rate that depends upon the underlying rhythm. Ventricular and atrial rhythm, the PP interval is regular if the patient has an underlying normal sinus rhythm. So the RR interval gradually shortens. PR interval that becomes longer with each succeeding ECG complexes until there is a P wave not following the QRS. So it's prolonged until there is no P wave followed by a QRS. QRS shape and duration usually normal but may be abnormal. P wave may be in front of the QRS complex. P and QRS ratio, that's of 3:2, 4:3, 5:4. That way it may go. Now again discuss about the clinical associations of type 1 AV block, second degree AV block. It's due to some drugs like digoxin or beta adrenergic blockers. It's also associated with some cardiac diseases like CAD. About the clinical significance, This type of heart block is usually due to myocardial ischemia or infraction. So we can identify the patient is having some ischemia. That's the clinical significance. So it's a warning sign for some patients. Just following MI, patient is not aware whether he developed MI or what. That's why if you are observing this type of rhythm, it's a warning sign. The patient is having already developed MI and there is chance for further ischemias. Treatment: if the patient is symptomatic, atropine is used to increase the heart rate. A temporary pacemaker is needed. Suppose the patient is experiencing MI or chest pain, it's better to keep a temporary pacemaker. Suppose the patient is asymptomatic, you have to observe the rhythm closely. Once the patient is going to further serious blocks or what, you have to observe the rhythm. A standby transcutaneous pacemaker should be there. That's about the treatment aspect, and that's all about second degree type 1, that is Wengiba-Mobis type 1 block. Okay, we can see about second degree atrioventricular block type 2. See the diagram. Second degree block, Mobis type 2. That we can see suddenly dropped QRS. PR interval that's not lengthened as such. Sudden drops of QRS without any prior changes of PR. P waves are punctual and similar. Non-conducted PAC, which is early PAC. Ventricular with rhythm that is irregular, atrial rhythm is regular, PRI normal or prolonged, QRS often that is abnormal. The block is at the level of bundle of his or towards the bundle branches also there is chances of blocks. Anyway, bundle of his there is blocks. So, the second degree type 2 heart block that occurs when only few impulses, arterial impulses or some impulses that are conducted through the AV node into the ventricles. About the second degree type 2 block, Mobis type 2 block, the P wave is not conducted without progressive antecedent PR lengthening. Sometimes on conducted beats, you can see the PR interval is constant. This is a more serious type block. From SA node, there are impulses. So, these impulses from SA node are not conducted to the ventricles. It occurs in the ratio of 2:1 or 3:1 and so on. That means 2 P waves for 1 QRS complex. That way it's occurring. It may occur in varying ratios. This type of second degree type 2 block that mostly occur there in His-Purkinje system. See the ECG diagram of second degree AV block type 2. The ventricular and atrial rate that depends upon the underlying rhythm. Ventricular rate depends on the intrinsic rate and the degree of AV block. The ventricular and atrial rhythm is regular, but the ventricular rhythm may be irregular. The PP interval is regular if the patient has an underlying normal sinus rhythm. The RR interval is usually regular but may be irregular depending on P/QRS ratio. The QRS shape and duration usually abnormal but may be normal. The P wave in front of the QRS complex. Shape of the P wave that depends upon the underlying rhythm. The PR interval PR interval is constant for those P waves just before the QRS complexes only. That's constant only for the P waves just before the QRS complexes. P is to QRS ratio, that's of 2:1, 3:1, 4:1, 5:1 and so forth, it varies. This is about the ECG characteristics of this second degree AV block type 2. The clinical associations, that's all, it's associated with rheumatic heart disease, CAD, anterior wall MI and digitalis toxicity. About the clinical significance, type 2 block often that progresses to that of third degree AV block. That's the significance, sir. Can lead to further serious arrhythmias. That's the clinical significance of this second degree type 2 AV block. About the treatment, then you have, before inserting the permanent pacemaker, we can try with temporary pacemakers. Then symptomatic treatment you must provide for the patient. This is about type 2 second degree AV block. Now we can move to next AV block, that's of third degree AV block. See the diagram of third degree AV block. Atria and ventricles are depolarizing independently. No association between the atria and ventricles. You can see in this diagram, no association between the atria and ventricles. Both are depolarizing independently. That's of the third degree AV block. Third degree AV block, it's a complete heart block that constitute one form of AV dissociation. Already we discussed about what is AV dissociation. There is a dissociation, no connection between the atria and ventricles. Both are depolarizing separately. Then the third degree block, in that the atrial impulses is conducted through the AV node. It's not conducting through the AV node into the ventricles. From the AV node, it's not conducting to the ventricles. Two impulses stimulate the heart in third degree AV block. One stimulate the ventricles and one impulse stimulate the atrium. That's the problem. Two impulses are there. One stimulate the ventricles means the junctional or ventricular escape rhythm that stimulates the ventricles, and the atrial rhythm or the sinus rhythm, it can be atrial fibrillation, whatever it may be, that stimulates the atrium. This phenomenon is called as AV dissociation. See ECG strip of third degree AV block. Okay, it's a complete heart block. The ventricular and atrial rate, that depends on the escape and the underlying atrial rhythm. Characteristics, the atrial rate is usually a sinus rate. If it's a sinus rhythm, means it's a sinus rate 60 to 100 beats per minute. And the ventricular rate, that depends on the site of the block. If it is in the AV node, the rate is 40 to 60 beats. And in the hypertensive system, it's of 20 to 40 beats per minute. Then ventricular and atrial rhythm. Atrial and ventricular rhythms are regular but unrelated to each other. The PP interval is regular and the RR interval is regular. However, the PP interval is not equal to the RR interval. The QRS shape and duration, that depends on the escape rhythm. That junctional escape is there. That depends on the escape rhythm. The QRS shape and the duration is usually normal, and the ventricular escape, the QRS shape and duration are usually abnormal. Ventricular escape, two rhythms are there, so in ventricular escape the shape and duration is abnormal. P wave, that also depends on the underlying rhythm. PR interval, that's very irregular. PR interval very irregular. P is to QRS ratio, more P waves than the QRS complexes. That about the ECG criteria of this third degree AV block. Now we can see that causes or the clinical associations. Severe heart diseases, then CAD, MI, myocarditis, cardiomyopathy, then systemic diseases, that is amyloidosis, then medications such as digoxin, beta adrenergic blockers and calcium channel blockers. These all can lead to this type of third degree AV block. Then about the pathophysiological changes in third degree AV block. No atrial, already told, no atrial impulses are conducted through the AV node into the ventricles. So there are two impulse formation, one in the atrium and one in there in the ventricles. Independent atrial and ventricular complexes are there. Atrial rate that is greater than the ventricular rate. That about the pathophysiological changes. Then we can see about the signs and symptoms of this third degree AV block. The reduced cardiac output with the subsequent ischemia is there. Symptoms of reduced cardiac output, ventricles are not functioning, impulses are not sufficient to contract the ventricles. That's why there is reduced cardiac output. So that what will happen, there is chances for the heart failure. Patient may go to shock. So signs of syncope they will demonstrate. Then severe bradycardia, even a period of asystole you can observe in case of third degree AV block. Then about the diagnostic evaluations, that ECG monitoring, Holter monitoring, echocardiogram, electrophysiological test, tilt table test. These all are some diagnostic evaluations for third degree AV block. So we have to differentiate that from other AV blocks also. That's why these all through this ECG and Holter monitor, the tilt table test, we can differentiate this block from other condition, other arrhythmias. About the clinical significance, I already mentioned it. This is significant because there is ventricles can't contract and there is decreased cardiac output. That's the clinical significance. Then about the treatment aspect, based on the cause, the treatment vary. The AV block and the stability of the patient we have to consider while treating the patient. What about the AV block? What about the ventricular block? What about the general condition of the patient? All these factors we must consider while treating the patient. Anyway, our aim is to increase the heart rate to maintain a normal cardiac output. How to increase the heart rate to maintain a normal cardiac output? If the patient is stable, means and having no symptoms, so in that condition no treatment is needed. It's not indicated any treatment. Then the thing what we can do is we have to find out the cause and we have to eradicate the cause of this third degree AV block if the patient is asymptomatic. But if the patient is having some symptoms, suppose the patient is having the symptom of short of breath, he can't breathe properly, or syncope is there, or patient is complaining of chest pain or lightheadedness, or patient is having low blood pressure, we have to manage the condition. For that we can give a intravenous bolus of atropine as an initial treatment choice. So if the patient is not responding to atropine, then what we can do? We have to do the transcutaneous pacing. Then it's not responding to that type of pacing, we think about the permanent pacing. That about the management or treatment aspect of patient with third degree AV block. Now consider the complications of third degree AV block. This is a very serious arrhythmia. The irregular heartbeat is there. Then there is chance for cardiac arrest and sudden death. These all are some complications of third degree AV block. Now, can just think about some nursing diagnosis. One is impaired physical mobility, that is related to activity restriction. That's one diagnosis. Then another one is anxiety related to cardiac disorder and the impending temporary pacemaker insertion as evidenced by verbalization. That's another nursing diagnosis. Then next one is high risk for decreased cardiac output. That's the important diagnosis, cardiac output related to bradyarrhythmias and a delay in the insertion of the temporary pacing system. Then again there are many diagnoses. One more, the high risk for infection related to percutaneous placement. And one more, high risk for microshock, that is related to the presence of the temporary pacing lead. These all are some possible nursing diagnosis. So you have to intervene the conditions and how to take care of the patient. It's about the third degree block. Now we can move to the bundle branch blocks. This type of block is bundle branch block. In a normal heartbeat, the impulses travels from the SA node through the atria, then to the AV node, and then through the bundle of his and bundle of branches, Purkinje fibers to the ventricles. You know the way. So the block once is occur there in the bundle branches, that is called the bundle branch block. There are two main bundle branches, the right and left bundle branches, and further subdivisions are there. That means the left bundle branch into two minor branches. So the determination of the bundle branch block, that depends upon where the block occur. That means the left side or right side, the left side also, in which branch, where is the block. That is the determination of the block. Anyway, in any bundle branch block, you can see there is a wider QRS than the normal value. That means 0.04 to 0.1. That's so typically different. That means it can reach up to 0.12 to 0.16. That's actually abnormal. A widened QRS you can see in this bundle branch blocks. So in bundle branch blocks, only one of the ventricle that is directly caused to contract by the impulses, sometimes from the atria. One of the other ventricle is actually caused to contract by the impulses that is traveling through the ventricles, heart tissues. So the ventricle is contracting with the force of impulses created from the ventricle itself. Sometimes one ventricle can contract with the help of that arterial impulses. Actually it's not transmitting from the atria to the ventricles impulses. Sometimes only one can contract by the impulse from the atria, but the other, typically the other is by the impulse from the ventricles only. So the result is such a way that one ventricle will contract before the other. Both are not contracting at the same time. One will contract before the other. Again, about the bundle branch block, the bundle branch or fascicle, bundle branches, or it is called as fascicle, that becomes injured due to any heart disease or myocardial infarction. That's why there is no conduction of the impulses. And ischemia is there in the fascicles of the branch. That's why the impulses are not conducting appropriately. So what will happen? This results in altered pathways for ventricular depolarization. Instead of going through the proper pathway, there is some other pathways is created for the impulse transmission. Since the impulses cannot use the preferred pathway across the bundle branch, it may move instead through muscle fibers. Instead of going through the bundle branches, it passes through some other pathway of muscle fibers. That slows the electrical movement and slows the propagation of the impulses. That's why there is loss of ventricular synchrony. And ventricular depolarization is prolonged due to the altered pathway. And there may be corresponding drop in the cardiac output because there is delayed contraction of the ventricles. The impulses are actually going through altered pathway instead of bundle branches. That's why delay can occur, and that leads to decreased contraction, and that leads to decreased cardiac output. Observe a diagram of bundle branch block. In this example, the rate is 78 beats per minute, The PR interval is 0.18 seconds, that's normal, and the QRS width is 0.14 seconds, that's abnormal. See the significance of that bundle branch block, that varies greatly. A complete bundle branch block doesn't exist in this ECG, but there is a degradation is there. The QRS may vary from 0.1 to 1.11 second in this ECG. Okay, we can move to the causes of bundle branch blocks. So we can see the cause of left bundle branch block and even the right bundle branch block together. The heart diseases, congestive heart failures, cardiomyopathy and hypertension, these all are some causes of bundle branch blocks. See the diagram of a left bundle branch block. In this, there you can observe the Widens QRS. The heart electrical axis is just shift to the left side in this. That's why this ECG will show the QS or RS complex in leads V1 and a monophasic R wave in lead 1. Axis shift is there, slightly shifted to the left. That's why this ECG changes can occur. Another, this thing is T wave discordance you can observe in this. T wave will be deflected opposite the terminal deflection of the QRS complex. So the left ventricle gets delayed impulses. QRS is widened, 3 boxes you can count. V5 and V6 waves. So in special V5 and V6 waves, the R are rabbit ears you can observe in that. Then some hiding Q waves are there. Rabbit ears you observe. Then the hiding Q waves that we can see. Observe for any hiding Q waves. This is about the ECG diagram of left bundle branch block. Now we move to the right bundle branch block. Causes almost the same as that of the left bundle branch block. That is of can be congenital myocardial infarction, myocarditis, hypertension. Then a scar tissue development after cardiac surgery, pulmonary embolism. These are some causes of right bundle branch block. So ECG diagram of the right bundle branch block. The duration of QRS complex that exists. There is a prolongation of the last part of the QRS complex. So anyway, it's shifting, a right shift is there, right axis shift is there in that right bundle branch block. Okay, ECG shows a terminal R wave in the lead V1 and a slurred S wave in lead 1. Right bundle branch block also impulses are delayed. QRS wide in 3 boxes. V1 and V2 have RSR. This is about the ECG of right bundle branch block. Anyway, management on the basis what we can use, how to synchronize, that means resynchronize the ventricles. We are using pacemakers. That about the management. One more particular condition is there, that is ventricular dysynchrony condition is there. So we can see what it is, ventricular dysynchrony. Unfortunately, some individuals will exhibit both left and right bundle branch blocks together and have a profoundly abnormal QRS interval. Both are occurring together, left and right bundle branch block. That's why they profoundly abnormal QRS interval. This degree of electrical degradation to the myocardium may lead to this phenomenon, that is of ventricular dysynchrony. Once both the bundle branch occur simultaneously, that will lead to ventricular dysynchrony. Now we may move to the last type of block, that is of bifascicular block. Bifascicular block, fasciculars, branches, bundle branches. Again, left bundle branch is having two branches. So about this fascicular blocks you can see. Fascicular block, the term fascicular block that most commonly refers to the conduction disturbances below the atrioventricular node, in which the right bundle branch and one of the two fascicles, that is two fascicles of the left bundle branch. The two fascicles of left bundle branch means it can be an anterior fascicle or posterior fascicle that is involved. So in this condition, block involves in the which all branches? Right bundle branch block plus one of the fascicle of the left bundle branch block. That means the anterior fascicle or posterior fascicle of the left bundle branch block. Partially it allows one fascicle is free. See the diagram of a bifascicular block. See another diagram of bifascicular block. Here, in the physiological activation of the His-Purkinje system is interrupted. The normal sequence of activation is interrupted in this particular type of bifascicular block. The ECG that may vary according to which fascicle is blocked. Already right is blocked, right bundle branch is blocked. Again, ECG variation that depends upon which fascicle is blocked. That means we are denoting left anterior fascicular block or left posterior fascicular block. We have to find out. This we can identify from ECG. So, the further conduction in the ventricle, that's via the single remaining fascicle. Once anterior is affected means through posteriorly it will go. Posterior affected means anteriorly it will go. So, the ECG will show some typical features. In the typical features involved, V1 and V6 leads have RR rabbit ears, V1, V2 have RSR, QRS is widened. These all are some features we can observe from the ECG strip. This is about the ECG pattern of the bifascicular block. Now, the causes of bifascicular block. Usually, ischemic heart disease is the main cause of this bifascicular block. Then, hypertension, aortic stenosis, anterior wall MI, primary degenerative diseases, congenital heart diseases, hyperkalemia. These all are some causes of bifascicular block. Now, one more block is there, that is trifascicular block. The term trifascicular block is most commonly used to describe bifascicular block associated with the prolongation of PR interval. Bifascicular block associated with the prolongation of PR interval. That means prolongation of PR interval, what it means? There is a first degree AV block is there. So, trifascicular block means first degree AV block plus bifascicular block. That is called a trifascicular block. This is all about bundle branch blocks. Also, we are concluding the conduction arrhythmias. We discussed AV block, that also first degree, second degree type 1, type 2 and third degree. Again discussed about bundle branch blocks, that's all. Left bundle branch block and right bundle branch block, and then bifascicular block and trifascicular block we discussed. Okay, thank you.